Hello, everybody, and good morning from Newberry Springs, California. It's a beautiful Saturday morning, and I literally am inside of a house, long time abandoned. It needs a little work. It's a fixer-upper, no doubt about that. But inside the house with me, I have a number of good friends that I have met the past couple days. But I have a new friend I'm going to be chatting with today. His name is Brian Fisher. And he is affectionately known, I don't know if it's an official title, but he's known as Mr. Geocache. And he is also affiliated with the historical group here in Newberry Springs. And we're excited today to learn not only about his history here in Newberry Springs, but also the work he's doing with the Historical Society. And also, I'm going to learn something new today because I've heard the word geocache before, but I really am very light in the knowledge side, so I'm going to learn a little bit about it. But also first, Brian, again, welcome to the Outdoor Adventure Series. And I would love to learn a little bit about you and your history here in Newberry Springs.
I came down to Newberry Springs as a result of the base closures in the late 1980s
Mm-hmm.
and came down here, I believe, in either 96 or 90. And because of the base closure up in the Mare Island area, transferred down here to the Marine base where I worked for the rest of my career there and then retired to Newberry Springs. But when I first came down here, I was looking for a place to live. And realtor gave me a whole bunch of listings. Go look.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did, and I came out here, and I was struck by the peace, the quiet, just the general tranquility of the area, the views and everything, and found a piece of property that I liked, a house on it that was adequate and fine, and purchased that. And then my wife came down about 18 months later.
Mm-hmm.
So that was how I was introduced to here.
Okay.
Originally, our idea was to live down here until I retired, until she retired as well, and then move back to Napa, which is where we were from. And
Do you drink wine?
occasionally,
Occasionally.
occasionally.
I thought that was a rule, but okay.
No, I actually I grew up in a house of teetotalers, so.
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha.
But I was born, raised, and lived in Napa most all my life. And so we were going to move back to Napa, but by the time we got to retirement, we didn't wish to do so.
Okay.
So we stayed down here because of the peace, the quiet. I'm on a 20-acre parcel, so I can do basically anything
You
we
want.
want.
I love it.
And up in Napa, I'd be living in a subdivision, an 80 by 100-foot lot.
Okay. So I'm curious though. Okay, you're on a 20-acre lot. You can do anything you want. Is there something you'd like to share with our listeners about what you get to do on that lot and nobody else gets to know?
Um,
You got to keep it G-rated though.
yeah, I got a
Okay.
KBG rated, but no, well, we put a second house on the property,
Okay.
and our son lives in the original home,
Okay.
with his family. And then we put a second house because he came down here and actually went to work at the Marine base as well. But then he wanted a place to live, of course, with his family. And so we were going to put a mobile home on the property and then found out that that's really legally difficult.
Okay.
And
That's good to know because I'm always looking for my next place to live. So,
well, the problem was you can put a mobile home if you get the permission and it meets current specifications. So if
right.
you go out and buy a reasonably priced used mobile home, you have to rewire it, you have to replumb it.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
you don't buy. It was cheaper to buy a house,
Okay.
move a house onto the property. So that's what we did. And then we figured out if we're going to have a new house and an old house, we're going to live in the new one.
There you go. That's smart move.
Yeah.
Smart move.
In
Very-
addition, I've got a very large 40 by 40 foot barn garage
Okay. Very good.
and a standard 2-car garage as well
Okay.
on the property.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Now, in retirement, tell us how you're staying busy because this is a beautiful area. There's a lot of history here, and we want more folks to know about it. And I know you're actively involved as it's shared in the intro, but tell us a little bit about how you're keeping active here, not only for yourself and your interest, but also in helping to promote Newberry Springs.
Well, I'm a member of the Newberry Springs Economic Development Association, or NSEDA. And a few months ago, Carla actually brought up having a committee to research and to discover, to record and preserve the history of Newberry Springs. Because unfortunately, there's a lot of history that's been recorded about the Barstow, Yermo, Daggett, and Ludlow, but Newberry Springs basically is on the way to,
Right.
is what they say. But there is a lot of history going back into like the 1840s
Hmm.
here in Newberry, and it is just all scattered. It's nothing together. So we formed this committee, and I raised my hand and became the chairman of it.
You got to watch that hand raising.
It was a pause, and then I had to go home and explain it to the wife what I'd done.
Honey, I'm going to be away for every so often for a couple hours.
But as part of that, this is Mrs. Orcutt's residence,
Right.
her ranch.
And who is Mrs. Orcutt? Because I was going to, that was going to be my next phase in, is like, we are standing in a little bit of history right now.
Yeah, well, Mrs. Orcutt was a widow who moved out from, I believe, either Illinois or Indiana, so far as I can determine at this point, and moved down into the Los Angeles area, opened a little business called the Littlest Lumber Yard, which I think was more of a tax write-off than a business from researching I've done on it, and obtained property down the hill. And she decided that she wanted to live out someplace other than down there after her husband died. So she came up here. She just settled on this piece of property here, which is about 102 acres in 3 parcels. And she decided that she wanted to live here. She was a kind of a unique person, a little cantankerous, very self-minded as far as what she wanted. That was the way
You're being
things.
very polite there as you describe.
Well, lady's not here to defend herself.
Okay.
And she settled here. She built this house. She developed property. This was a certified wildlife reserve
Okay.
out here,
Oh, wow.
and which gave her all kinds of advantages, the title and everything else. The lakes helped that she had here on the property. And then in let's see, back a page here. She closed escrow on this property in February of 1962.
Okay.
And
That year rings a bell, but we're not going to talk about that.
she was a widow, refuge. Oh, in 1964, the interstate was put in here, I-40.
Ah.
Now, her property stretched from here to Route 66
Oh.
in 3 parcels.
Okay.
Okay. And this was, I think, medium-sized parcel, and then the rest of the area over here was the largest parcel, I believe. And the other parcel was on the stretch from some point on this side of the highway to Route 66. Her access to the property, of course, then was straight out to Route 66, and I believe the road's down that way, down to the west of us here,
Okay.
partially.
Okay.
I've seen it on maps and aerial things, but I have not actually physically located it. I've looked for it.
Okay.
And
I know somebody in somebody's home, we saw a drone, so we need some drone flyers out here to.
yeah,
That'll help you find that road, I think.
I think so. Yeah, wife and I were out looking for it a couple of days ago, and
Okay.
we think we found it,
Okay.
but we're not sure.
Okay.
We're-
So she was impacted by Route 66, and this road we drove up on, as I understand, was an accommodation on the behalf of the government to. Sorry
Yes.
about that, but here we'll give you a road.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, in 1964, when the highway was being developed here and
Yeah.
everything, because there's notations about some interreaction with the surveyors surveying the interstate and her. And what they did, of course, is when they put the intersection in here, they landlocked it,
Right.
because the road that we came in on Memorial did not exist at that point. So she developed a writing campaign, and the only one I've come across so far was a letter to the county, San Bernardino County, about the fact that this property was being isolated,
Right.
and they basically told her it's not our problem. The other letter is that when she got her property taxes, she didn't like paying taxes.
Imagine that.
Yeah, imagine that. But when her property taxes came in on the parcel that the interstate sits on, she was billed for those.
I can imagine that would set somebody off.
Yeah, so that developed a series of letters to and from the assessor's office who said, oh, yeah, right, yeah, no. And they adjusted her property taxes by excluding that parcel to the south of us here.
Okay.
Okay.
So in addition to this property, and what is unique about this property, and now you've got some activity going on here as well right now.
Yes, I do. Two things is that thanks to Mr. Deal, we have a large amount of correspondence from,
Okay.
and Mrs. Paulson, Vicki Paulson, has organized us into 6 boxes.
Okay.
And I'm going through these boxes one letter at a time and taking a lot of time. But
You're all retired now.
I know, retirement.
I think you get busier upon retirement. That's
I
what
think
I've
so.
heard.
I just don't know how I had time to work, to be honest with you. Anyway, all her letters, some bills for various organizations, tax returns, birthday cards, all kinds of things like this. Not a lot of pictures. I got one picture with 2 ladies in it. One of them I think is her, but I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, about her property here, this was what she called her ranch.
Mhm.
And there a lot of letters from people who promised to visit her at her ranch.
Gotcha.
They're going
Okay.
to come out and visit her. Now, when the highway department, when the U.S. government, after much pressure from her, created the driveway coming in here, the 4 miles paved, high paved road, that was a very boost to her actually,
Right.
because before that she had a dirt road that ran between here and Route 66.
Right.
Rained hard, guess what?
You're not going anywhere.
You're not going anywhere. And there's numerous letters about, gee, we were going to come and visit you. Well, don't bother because you can't get here,
Right.
type thing. I mean, I don't know exactly how much she was locked in here. I get the impression that she was
Okay.
from going through all this paperwork and everything.
Okay. So you're really going through a lot of, you and your peers in this historical society are going through the materials and really trying to make sense of what happened and when, and essentially tracing the history on her behalf. And that sounds like, it's tedious work, it's exacting work,
Yes.
but it's also fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I've always had an interest in history, and this is, in a way, yeah, it's enjoyable and everything.
Okay.
And usually when I wake up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning,
Okay.
I spend about an hour or so just going through her paperwork because it's quiet, it's peaceful, there's nothing going on.
And you're not surfing the internet on Facebook and YouTube
Yes.
videos. Gotcha.
Yeah, got you there.
So if we could, let's talk a little bit about your geocaching. And after all, you are Mr. Unless there's something very special you want to end with regarding the woman whose property this was.
Well, we can move on to geocaching. Actually, my geocaching name is Captain Nemo.
Captain Nemo.
Okay.
Okay.
And how I came about that name is, well, I'll tell you. What the heck. We used to go down to Pismo Beach every Christmas to New Year's. And when you go to Pismo Beach to camp on the beach, you have to cross a river.
Right.
Now, the river sometimes is a trickle and sometimes it's a torrent. And the time I was driving a 1978 Dodge Polara.
Okay.
Okay, not an off-road car by any stretch of the imagination. And we came up to the gate. We had reservations, and they asked me, well, what are you here for, basically? And we said, well, we're here to camp. We have reservations and all that. And she says, the car, and she says, you're not going to make it. Well, what she didn't know is that we had our group. Half of our group was already on the beach,
Okay.
including people with big 4 drives.
Right.
And so I said, well, I'll give it a try. And she figures, okay, I'm going to have to rescue some people. And 3 of us in the car. A friend of us was sitting in the back seat. Get to in a minute. Anyway, we got up to the river, and the river was really running.
Okay.
And
I
so,
think I know where this is going.
yeah. So we called ahead, got our friend with a four-wheel drive, come back, hooked us up. And when he pulled us into the river, the whole front end of the car went underwater. Okay. And if you ever remember the movie 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea,
Yes.
and they show the submarine, you see the lights underneath the water. Well, that's what it looked like.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Our friend that was in the back seat was now on the shelf behind us, the back, because she figured we were all going to drown.
Oh boy.
Well, he got us through the river. I've been off-roading with him many times, so I
Okay.
wasn't released with it. But that's where the name came from.
Okay.
Anyway, geocaching started back in May of 2000.
Okay.
On the 2nd of May, the government turned off what was called selective availability, which meant the GPS signals from the satellites were increased accurate to your location in a multiplied more sensitive
Right.
manner. The next day, a gentleman by the name of Dave Ungwer went out and hid a 5-gallon bucket with some items in it.
Right.
Put it on the internet for people to go out and find, and went that way for a couple of years. And then in 2002, a group got together and formed a company, Groundspeak.
Okay.
And what geocaching is that participants, geocachers,
Right.
go out and they hide containers.
Okay.
The containers can be as small as a little pill bottle. They can be the most common size is like a prescription pill bottle.
Okay.
Okay. And they can go large. Largest one I found was a railroad car.
Okay.
Okay. Somebody had a railroad car.
You had to really want to do that one.
Yeah. And they hide these, or he didn't hide it, obviously.
Right.
But anyway, you post on the website geocaching.com
Okay. Good.
the location, the coordinates, latitude and longitude for the geocache. Then other people, geocachers, go on the internet, spot that, and then go out and find it.
Okay.
Okay. Sometimes they're very easy to find. Sometimes they're extremely difficult to find.
Here in Newberry Springs, without giving any secrets away, about how many geocaches are in the community?
Well, within a 10-mile radius of my house, which is about 5 miles west of here, there are about 1,000.
1,000. Okay.
Worldwide, there's over 3 million.
Okay.
So it's an international sport
Okay.
that has grown exponentially.
Okay. So another good reason to come visit Newberry Springs.
Well, part of the reason that this is sort of important to the community is tourism.
Right.
Now, why do people come to an area?
Sure.
Why would you stay out here in the middle of nowhere?
A lot of different reasons.
A lot of different reasons, but one of the reasons is there's something to do here.
Yes.
Now, in Newberry Springs, there are, like I say, within a 10-mile radius, there's about 1,000 geocaches.
Okay. Okay.
And one of the types of geocaches that exist now are called gadget caches.
Okay.
Now, what a gadget cache is, it's relatively easy to find. In fact, if you go down to the barn, you go out behind the barn where they're building the new platform for the celebration, you'll see a little red house sitting on a post right next to where the stage will be.
Okay.
That's a gadget cache. That belongs to me.
Okay.
And what a gadget cache is, they're relatively easy to find. You go to the location and there it is.
Okay.
But you got to figure out how to open it. And some of them that one is relatively difficult to open. It's not physically difficult, but you have to follow like 3 or 4 steps in a precise order or it won't open.
Okay. Very interesting.
Okay. And gadget caches become very people-like
Yes.
because they're a challenge. And I've had people come to the Newberry area from as far away as Australia, from from Europe, all over the United States and Canada, just because of the gadget caches here in Newberry.
You know, I have to actually share with you and really thank you because you've literally just now put the outdoor in the outdoor adventure series.
Oh, okay.
Because again, it gets us outdoors. It helps us visit communities that we may never have thought to visit, or hey, we're coming to the U.S. we've heard of the Baghdad Cafe, the barn,
Yeah.
Newberry Springs. Hey, there's some geocaches there.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go find them.
Let's go find them. I love that. I love that.
Well, geocaching has taken me to places that I've been up to 11,000 feet looking for a geocache.
Okay.
Top of a mountain. I've been underground at least 150 feet in a mine looking for a geocache. I've been to, we went to New Orleans on one of our trips after we retired. And in the French Quarter, all the hotels are around the French Quarter.
Right.
Right. Well, there was a geocacher who put a geocache in one of the hotels.
Okay. Unbeknownst to the hotel, probably.
No, actually, he was the vice president in charge of maintenance
Okay.
for the hotel.
Gotcha.
So he had an in.
That's special. That's a special thing to do. Is there a favorite geocache here for you in Newberry Springs that really gives you a lot of history, good memories? It kind of brings back something for you that like, oh, this is cool.
Oh, well, the one here on the property.
Okay, and we're gonna go look for that in a little bit, aren't we?
Yes,
okay.
if we'd like.
Yeah, Carla has the itinerary of what we're gonna do.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sure it's on.
Well, she's in charge, and that's
she's
a
in
good
charge.
idea.
Yes.
The gadget caches. I like the gadget caches.
Okay.
The problem with the gadget caches is, first of all, you can't just go grab a container and put it out there.
Right.
Okay. The second problem with the geocache is you don't want to put it someplace where it's likely to get vandalized.
Of course.
Of course. And the third problem is they're not maintenance free. They're a mechanism that has to work or it doesn't work.
You got to put a battery in. You got to put a little bit of WD-40.
40,
yeah.
And
Okay.
the one at the barn has been a high maintenance cache.
Okay.
And it's because the intricacy is the mechanism.
I'm going to have to have Carla take me back to the barn to go look at that cache. We'll have a picture there of it as well.
Oh, okay.
I really love that you were able to kind of spend some time with us today and chat about not only your role in helping capture and record the history, share the history of Newberry Springs, and your interest in geocaching. And really, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. And I know we're going to have one more interview coming up. I understand Mr. Paul Deal's coming back, and we're going to talk a little more history in just a little bit. So thank you for spending time.
Okay, thank you.
I want to go out to see that geocache. We're going to
Okay.
capture a picture.
Okay, very good.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.